half-past thing?
Mr. Magorium.
What were you going to do?
I was going to do Mr. Magorium's Wonder Emporium before you sort of, sidetrack me. Mr. Magorium's Wonder Emporium, or also known as, I really wish I'd made Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, Charlie Chonker and the Chocolate
Charlie Chonker is a good one.
But sadly, I couldn't
That's
do
your
it.
fault, Tom.
So the story is, Dustin Hoffman is not Willy Wonka, he's Mr. Magorium, and he has a magical emporium, which is a magical toy shop, and it's sort of run by Natalie Portman, and he's 100 and blah years old, which incidentally will come back to haunt us when we get to the Francis Ford Coppola movie. But he's decided that he's probably had enough, and he may want to check out, and anyway, here's a clip.
Wait, what departure?
It was intended to be a spectacular surprise, but it appears the store has other intents. That's one of my favorites, Christine.
Wait, what was meant as a surprise?
I'm giving you the store.
You're giving me the store?
Surprise! Surprise! Surprise!
Okay, seriously, sir.
What, Mahoney?
I can't take the Emporium.
But you told me you needed a new occupation.
I meant writing music, not running the Emporium.
Why not? You do a splendid job of it.
So, it's written and directed by the guy who wrote Stranger Than Fiction, with which it shares an awful lot of things. It's got, uptight accountant sent in to sort out shop. Shop's got a bunch of magical stuff going on. Uptight accountant can't deal with the magic, falls in love with the strangely kooky girl who wins him over with cookies and blah-de-blah-de-blah. Dustin Hoffman's performance is incredibly gurning. It's one of those mad hair, strange teeth, bit of a lisp, wobbles around, thinks that's funny. No, sorry, it won't work. And he's desperately trying to do Gene Wilder and not doing it very well. And those people who thought that Johnny Depp wasn't as good as Gene Wilder in Charlie. I mean, I actually think Johnny Depp was very good in Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, but you really ought to see Dustin Hoffman trying to discover the inner child within him, which is a terrible sight to behold. When Hoffman was the great method acting story about Hoffman is that he turns up on set of Marathon Man. Everyone knows this story, but I'll tell it again. He turns up on set of Marathon Man. He's really, really tired, and Sir Lawrence says, "What's the matter? Why are you really tired?" He says, "Well, I got a scene. In this scene, I got to be really tired. So I've been up all night, so I'm really tired." And Sir Lawrence says, "Dear boy, why don't you just act?" And in this, he is acting for all he is worth. There's hair, there's teeth, there's lisping, there's falling over, there's clowning, there's goofing, there's girding. There's an awful lot of stuff in this film in which people have clearly been told, laugh hysterically, laugh magically, react as if you're reacting to something completely magical. There's a sequence in it in which Natalie Portman takes him out for a crazy day, and she says, what are we going to do? And he says, we're going to do something really reckless and crazy and young. And they go to a bed shop and they bounce on the beds, which is crazy, and they laugh. And then they go to a park and they put down bubble wrap and they dance on the bubble wrap, and it goes pop in the way that bubble wrap doesn't if you stand on it. Actually, you have to do it with your fingers. It doesn't if you spread the weight out. That's why the Titanic floated until it hit the iceberg. If you spread the weight out, it doesn't. No, it's important.
Oh, right.
And so there's an awful lot of gurning, an awful lot of enforced hilarity, an awful lot of, and then there's suddenly author's message, and the author's message is, you know what? Everyone dies. Everyone dies. Death is not a bad thing.
What, in the film?
Yeah. Not everyone in the film dies. The author's message is everyone dies.
Imagine that. It's a kid's film with Dustin Hoffman, Mr. Magorium's magical thing, and then everyone dies. Every single person dies before the
message of the film is everyone dies.
633 Squadron all over again.
And they don't all die in 633 Squadron.
Most of them.
Do they?
Yeah.
Okay. And Dustin Hoffman gives this big...
Titanic all over again.
Titanic, yeah. And Dustin Hoffman gives this big speech about, you know what, I had a great life, I just want you to remember the life, I don't remember all the nice bits, and then some swirly stuff happens. And it made me think, I need to see Bridge to Terabithia again, because the more I think about Bridge to Terabithia, the more I think that I probably did misjudge it. The more I think that actually, in terms of it addressing the subject of mortality, it did a better job than Mr. Magorium's Wonder Emporium. Once again, it's just flat and lacking in magic and not worthy of the subject which it attempts to address. And you think, I don't want to palm my kids off on this, really. It's not good enough.
Bridge to Terabithia, then we add that to the list of things you might have got wrong.
Increasingly long.
This is 5 Live. If you've